Today, October 13th, 2017, or in the Hebrew calendar, Tishri 23rd, 5778. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, did something today. Now, people were erroneously talking about how he would unilaterally pull out of the Iranian nuke deal. He does not have the power to do that. What his power is in the law that Congress made that basically agreed to the tenets of this joint plan of action, as they call it, with Iran, with the other nations, but that the President of the United States would have to recertify that deal every 90 days. If the President, and that's the only power that the President had in this particular Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, I believe they call it. So, one time in Donald Trump's presidency, and only once, he recertified it, and he did not want to. This time, he announces that he will not recertify it. Now, he had until Monday. He had until the deadline is the 15th, but they say that he had until Monday to make his choice whether to recertify or not. Well, today is the day that he has announced to the world that he will not recertify the deal, the Comprehensive Joint Plan of Action with Iran. So now, Congress has 30 days. Sorry, let me say that again. Congress now has 60 days. 60 days to do either one of two things. Come up with a new plan, fix the plan that they have. I said two things, but essentially fixing the plan that they have is essentially a new plan. Or the other is to snap back the sanctions. Now, this brings me to Debka-File. And the title on Debka-File is misleading, but I'll read it anyway. Trump, U.S. stays in Iran nuclear deal provided Congress addresses flaws. That's just a nice way of saying he refuses to recertify the deal. All right, U.S. President Donald Trump unveiling his strategy for Iran's tyrannical extremist rogue regime said Friday that he would not recertify its compliance with the nuclear accord because of its multiple flaws, but would be free to unilaterally pull the U.S. out of the Comprehensive Plan of Action at any time if those flaws were not corrected by Congress and U.S. allies. We are determined that the world's leading sponsor of terror will never achieve nuclear weapons, he said. So, in this particular article, apparently Donald Trump does have the power to unilaterally pull out of this Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. But what he is doing is he is following the law, which, when he refuses to recertify it, they have to address it. The Congress does. Two choices. Fix the plan or essentially replace it, same choice, or allow the congressional sanctions to snap back. We are determined that the world's leading sponsor of terror will never achieve nuclear weapons, he said. He announced the following steps, and this is where things get a little, I wouldn't say dicey, but that's the following next steps kind of belies the title on Detka File. The first one, action to counter Iran's destabilizing operations in the Middle East and outside of the Middle East. Number two, more sanctions to block its terrorist activities. You see? So he's taking unilateral steps here. 3, addressing its missile and other threats to international navigation. 4, tough sanctions for the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, the corrupt arm of the supreme leader which has hijacked Iran's financial assets to foment terror and supply proxies, namely Hezbollah and others, with weapons. Those further sanctions will apply to the entire Iranian Republican Guard Corps, its officials, agents, and all its proxies. He urged U.S. allies to join in this step. Number 5, sanctions will also target Iran's ballistic missile program and all its destructive activities. Among Iran's direct violations of the accord, Trump cited production in excess of 130 metric tons of heavy water, failure to meet commitments on advanced centrifuges, and intimidating international nuclear inspectors who were not allowed to visit military sites suspected of clandestine nuclear weapons activities. He also ordered a review by U.S. intelligence of Iran's dealings with North Korea. And now we see, folks, what Donald Trump meant by the calm before the storm. Iran and North Korea. So, where am I going with this? This has to be about Israel, right? Well, if I have anything to say about it, it absolutely has something to do with Israel. Today, as I said, he could have waited till Monday. He could have waited a few more days. But instead, he made this announcement today, which forces the countdown for Congress to fix the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action within 60 days. So I decided I'm going to pull out the Hebrew calendar, because this is very, very close to a special day, 60 days from today. What is 60 days from today? 60 days from today is the 24th day of the month of Kislev, the 9th month of the Hebrew calendar. Well, what's so special about the 24th day of the 9th month on the Hebrew calendar? Well, for one, if you go to look it up, you'll see it is the first day of Hanukkah. And Hanukkah is a celebration of the dedication of the temple. That's right. Because that was when the first stones of the temple was laid. That's right. So what is so special about that? Well, I have been harping on Haggai 2 so many times as a very special sign. And I will do this yet again. If you start in the beginning, you'll notice that Haggai writes down dates. For instance, in verse 1, in the 7th month, on the 21st day of the month, the word of Jehovah by the prophet Haggai said, "Speak to Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, to Yehoshua, or Yeshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest." And so Yeshua was the high priest at that time. Does the name sound familiar? And to the rest of the people saying, "Who is left among you that saw this house in her first glory?" He's speaking about the temple. And how do you see it now? It's nothing in comparison now, isn't it? That's what he's saying. "Yet now be strong, O Zerubbabel, saith Jehovah, and be strong, O Yeshua, son of Josedek, the high priest. And be strong, all you people of the land, saith Jehovah, and work, for I am with you, saith Jehovah of hosts, according to the word that I have covenanted you when you came out of Egypt." Folks, you must listen to this chapter very, very carefully, for in this chapter lies many answers. "So my spirit remains among you, fear you not, for thus saith Jehovah of hosts, yet once in a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all nations. And the desire of all nations shall come. And I will fill this house with glory, saith Jehovah of hosts." All of the silver belongs to Jehovah. All of the gold, it is his, saith Jehovah of hosts. So he's going to force the nations to bring all the gold and silver to him when he shakes the nations. So when is he going to shake the nations? We will continue to read. He says, "The glory of this latter house shall be greater than the former." That particular house that Zerubbabel was building was going to be greater than Solomon's temple. And indeed it was, once Herod finished adding to it. Saith Jehovah of hosts, "And this place will I give peace, saith Jehovah of hosts." So, this is the boring part from verse 10 through verse 19, but you must read it in order to understand, because he mentions something over and over and over again, the same thing over and why? Because he wants us to remember it and not forget it. So let's start with when he says it the first time. Verse 10, "In the 24th day of the 9th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of Jehovah by Haggai the prophet, saying, Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, ask now the priest concerning the law, saying, If one bears holy flesh in the skirt of his garment, and with his skirt do touch bread or pottage or wine or oil or any meat, shall it be holy? And the priest answered and said, No. Then said Haggai, if one that is unclean by a dead body touch any of these, shall it be unclean? The priest answered and said, it shall be unclean. Then answered Haggai and said, so is this people, and so is this nation before me, saith Jehovah. And so is every work of their hands, and that which they offer there is unclean. And now I pray you consider from this day. What day? The 24th day of the 9th month, and upward, from before a stone was laid upon a stone in the temple of Jehovah, since those days were, when one came to a heap of 20 measures, there were but 10. When one came to the press fat to draw out 50 vessels out of the press, there was only 20. I smote you with blasting and mildew, and from hail and all your labors of your hands, and yet you turn not to me, saith Jehovah. He says it again. Consider now from this day, beginning with this day, and upward or forward. From the 24th day of the 9th month, even from the day that the foundation of Jehovah's temple was laid. So there cannot be any misunderstanding whatsoever, neither among the Jews nor among the Gentiles. Everyone knows that that day is the first day of Hanukkah. Everyone knows. You can choose to reject the truth if you want to, but you still know it. Even from the day that the foundation of Jehovah's temple was laid, consider it. Is the seed yet in the barn? Yes. As also the vine and the fig tree and the pomegranate and the olive tree hath not brought forth, but from this day. What day? The 24th day of the 9th month, the first day of Hanukkah, the day of the dedication of the temple, the day that the first stones were laid, the foundation was laid, as he says right here. Even from the day that the foundation of Jehovah's temple was laid, consider it. Now, he said from that day, that's the big day. That's the one to look for. That day. Verse 20, and again the word of Jehovah came unto Haggai on the same day, the 24th day of that month, the 9th month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, and he says this again, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the thrones of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and the riders shall come down every one by the sword of his brother. Ally against ally, nation against nation, but also regiment against regiment, brother against brother. In that day, what day again? The 24th day of the 9th month. Saith Jehovah of hosts, I will take you, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, saith Jehovah, and I will make you as a sign. For I have chosen you, saith Jehovah. What sign was that? Jehovah said it. Okay. Let us go to Strong's Concordance. Going to make Zerubbabel a sign. What does Zerubbabel mean? It is in 22:16 in the Hebrew. It means born in Babylon. An Israelite born in Babylon. It also means to come out of Babylon. So, this is a sign for all of Israel who are exiled in Babylon today. What is Babylon today? Babylon today is all the cities of this world. That's Babylon. So when you read in the book of Revelation, come out of her, also in, I believe it was Jeremiah, come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her sins, nor her plagues. Where will they go? They will leave Babylon. They will come back home. As it reads in Hosea 11. So, Jeremiah 51 and verse 45. My people, go you out from the midst of her. Deliver every man his soul from the fierce anger of Jehovah. Go out of where? Well, when you read Jeremiah 51 and verse 1, you will see that this wrath in the days of Jeremiah was upon Babylon. Now, we'll go to Revelation 18. Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. What plagues? The 7 last plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Jehovah has remembered her iniquities. Reward her, even as she has rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works in the cup which she has filled to her double. Now, so, let's do this. Let's find out who this Babylon is. The last days. We will go to Revelation 16 and verse 17. And the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, it is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. What did Jehovah say he was going to do to all the heathen, all the nations? He was going to shake them with a monstrous earthquake. That's what he said. We just read it. And it was so bad that it was never been an earthquake like that since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake and so great. And the city, the great city, was 3, and the cities of the nations of the heathen fell. And that, my friends, is the fulfillment of Haggai 2, verses 22 and 23. And great Babylon came in remembrance before Elohim to give the cup of her wine of the fierceness of his wrath. It should be like this. It should be, the last part of the verse should come first, because that wrath upon Babylon the Great is upon all the cities, all the metropolis of this world. So now when you read where it says, "Come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her sins nor her plagues," it means every city of this world, the righteous and all the people of Israel must leave, as Lot left Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim. Where will they go? Hosea 11. In all of Hosea 11, in fact, in all of Hosea, Jehovah laments how the lost 10 tribes led by Ephraim had left him, had betrayed him, had turned their backs on Jehovah. Yet in verse 8 of Hosea 11 it says, "How shall I give you up, Ephraim? How shall I deliver you up, Israel? How shall I make you as Admah or Zeboim? My heart is changed within me. My repentings are kindled together. I will not execute the fiercest of my anger upon Ephraim. I will not return to destroy Ephraim, for I am Elohim and not a man. The Holy One in the midst of you, I will not enter in to destroy the city. They," who's they? Ephraim, "shall seek after Jehovah. Jehovah will roar like a lion." It should read like this: Jehovah will roar like a lion. Ephraim will then seek after Jehovah. And when he roars, then the children of what? Children of Israel, led by Ephraim, shall come trembling from the west. West. Now, let's see. In the New Testament, that's where, let's see, I'm going to try to remember. Let's see. Matthew 24 and verse 28. We do a little bit of detective work here. So, where will the people of Israel go to after they're told to flee away from all the cities of this world? Where will they go? Well, your first clue is in Matthew 28 or 24 and verse 28. Actually, the better one, oh, I got to find the other version. I think it's in Luke, because yes, Mark or Luke, because it's written better. I'll find it eventually. Maybe I'll try Luke 21, verse 25. That's not the one I'm looking for. Then it should be in Mark. Mark 13, 24 through 27. I don't understand why it's not more descriptive here. Luke 21 through 25. Verse 25. Well, I'll read what is written in verse 28 of Matthew 24. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Once again, we have a kind of flip-flopping language from what it would be from English or Greek to English, kind of like we did from Hebrew to English. In English, we would say wherever the carcass, or the eagles will be gathered wherever the carcass is. But I'm telling you, somewhere, and this really bothers me. Maybe it's in John. I'm not sure, but there is there's another place where it says, where the disciple says, "Where, Lord, where?" And he says that where the eagles are gathered, that's where the dead bodies will be. Maybe I need to try well, I saw it before. But anyway, wherever the dead bodies are going to be, that's where the eagles are going to be gathered. So where are the eagles / birds of prey / buzzards going to be gathered? The answer is in Ezekiel 38 and 39. I will go to Ezekiel 39. We know about this. It is about the great war, the great invasion for the northern armies against Israel. Starting in verse 1. Therefore, you son of man, prophesy against Gog and say, Thus saith Jehovah Elohim, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, Rosh, prince of Meshech and Tubal. I will turn you back and bring you forth. It does not say, leave but the sixth part of you. It says, I will see if I can find this in Strong's. It is Shaw. 8338 in Strong's Concordance. It says probably to lead on, drive. So, not leave back but the six of you. He's going to drive them there. He's going to force them into the mountains of Israel for judgment. And I will cause you to come up out of the north parts and will bring you upon what? The mountains of Israel. And I will smite your bow out of your left hand and will cause your arrows to fall out of your right hand. you shall fall upon the mountains of Israel. Second time he said it, mountains of Israel. Let's continue. You and all your bands and the people that are with you, I will give unto the birds of prey, the eagles, the buzzards, the ravens, of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Yeshua said, and I quote, wherever the eagles are, or wherever the carcass is, that's where the eagles are going to be gathered. So the question is then, where? The answer is in the mountains of Israel. And that's a fact. Okay, I had to look. My Bible Hub search didn't work, so I used Google. Luke 17 and verse 37. Once again, he says, this is after he talks about how, for as the lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, or shines to the other part of the sky, so shall the Son of Man be on this day. Now, when we go to verse 36, 2 men in the field, one will be taken, or they will leave like Lot. Remember Lot's wife? That's how they will be taken. And the other left. And they answered and said unto him, Where, Master? And he said unto them, Wherever the dead bodies are, that's where the eagles, the buzzards, the birds of prey will be gathered together. So using this particular passage in Luke 17 and verse 37, we can conclude that no, you will not be raptured into heaven. No. But you will go, or you will see him, and those who are taken, as Lot was taken out of Sodom and Gomorrah, on his own 2 feet, on whatever could carry him. Isaiah 60 says that flying ships like airliners that we have today will carry the people. That's what it says. That's where they're going to be going. And Jehovah said that he's going to feed his sheep Israel on the mountains of Israel. Ezekiel 34 and verse 14. I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There they shall lie in a good fold in a fat pasture, and they shall feed where? On the mountains of Israel. No, you're not going to be raptured to heaven, folks. The people of Israel will once again feed upon the mountains of Israel. We'll start in verse 11 of Ezekiel 34. For thus saith Jehovah Elohim, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out, as a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep. That's why one will be taken and one will be left, because the people of Israel have been scattered into all nations of the earth. And just as they have been scattered, shall they be gathered up. And I will deliver them out of all the places they've been scattered in that cloudy and dark day. Okay? And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the nations, and will bring them into their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel, by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country. And I will feed them in a good pasture upon the high mountains of Israel, shall their fold be. Over and over and over and over and over. How many times do I have to say it? He says, on the mountains of Israel are they going to feed. That's where they're going to be. Yeshua agrees. He said, where the dead bodies are, that's where the buzzards, the eagles, the ravens, and every bird of prey will be. And the location of that will be the mountains of Israel. Therefore, the location of where these people of Israel, the lost ones, are going to be taken, will be on the mountains of Israel. On that dark day. What is that dark day? The plague of darkness, folks. Sometimes you just have to take Jehovah's word for it. Where is the plague of darkness? It is the fifth plague, I believe. Or fifth vial. Yes. Revelation 16 and verse 10. The fifth angel poured out his vial on the throne or on the seat of the beast, and his kingdom, Europe, was full of darkness. And they gnawed their tongues for pain. Now, we go to Isaiah 60. What happens during the plague of darkness? Here's what happens during the plague of darkness. Arise, shine, for your light has come. The glory of Jehovah is risen upon you, Jerusalem. For behold, the darkness shall cover the land. The land of who? The land of the beast. The kingdom of the beast. What is the kingdom of the beast? Well, in the last days, it's the 10 toes. But the entire beast, from beginning to the end, is most of the Middle East, all of Europe, Turkey, Greece, the whole 9 yards. So while a plague of darkness is going to be on them, the Gentiles will be forced to bring all the children of Israel home on their own hips. Read Isaiah 60. That's how they're going to be taken. Isaiah 60. Verse 8. Who are these that fly as a cloud like doves to the windows? King James Version is a little obscure about this. Surely the coastlands shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring your sons from far. What it is saying is, the flying ships of Tarshish will be taking to the lead. That's the far west, will be taking the lead to bring the children of Israel home on ships that fly. We're talking about flight, as in the cloud. And what flies in a cloud? What kind of ship flies in a cloud? It is an airliner. To bring your sons from far. We just read Jehovah say in Haggai 2, all the gold is mine and all the silver is mine. So all these nations are going to have to bring the gold and silver to Jehovah. And what do we read here? And all the gold and silver with them unto the name of Jehovah their Elohim, to the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified you. And the sons of strangers shall rebuild your walls, and their kings shall minister unto you. For in my wrath I smote you, but in my favor I shall have mercy upon you. So the point of the matter here, what we see here is, the wrath upon the nations will become favor, mercy upon Israel. Just as favor and mercy upon the Gentiles in the days of Paul was wrath on Israel, so shall the wrath upon the Gentiles in the last days be mercy upon Israel. You cannot have the one without the other. That is how it works. Verse 11, therefore your gates shall be open continually, and they shall not shut neither day nor night, that men may bring unto you the wealth of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. What? Brought for what? That doesn't sound like they're coming willingly, does it? That their kings may be brought? Let's look up that word, shall we? The word means acquaint. Or behave. Well, that's an interesting way of deciphering that word. That their kings may behave, or go along the road, or keep to the road, or keep to the path, or to drive the flocks, or led in a procession. Okay. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve you, Jerusalem, they shall perish. Yes, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted you, Christians will come and bow down to the people of Jerusalem. Why? Because they worshipped at the synagogue of Satan, calling themselves spiritual Israel, with the false religion of supersessionism. It is them that are going to bow themselves down at the soles of the Jerusalemites' feet. Israel's feet. And they shall call you the city of Jehovah, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Yes, they're going to have to confess Jerusalem. Even though today no nation accepts Jerusalem as anything that belongs to Israel or Jehovah. So the point of this is this. Am I saying that so in 60 days it's going to happen? I'm not saying that. What I'm pointing out is Jehovah said in Haggai 2, verses 18 through 23, he says, remember that day, remember that day, remember that day, remember that day. And Iran is saying that if Donald Trump reneges on the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, that there will be hell to pay. They use all kinds of intimidating words to try to keep Donald Trump from, as they put it, reneging on the nuke deal. Because you see, folks, here's the deal. If the sanctions snap back into place, then that means in order for the other countries of this world to do business with the United States, they have to sanction Iran too. And this will make Iran explode with fury. So now more than ever, with Iran's twin brother from another mother joining in this nuclear, what do you call that, nuclear extortion, which is what the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action was, nuclear extortion. Both North Korea and Iran have participated in nuclear extortion. Well, somebody has just said that stops today. And of course, you know what extortionists do when they don't get their way. They tend to wreak all kinds of havoc. Well, we not only have one extortionist not getting its way anymore, now we're going to have a second extortionist not getting its way anymore. Do not think that somehow the world is going to live in peace when extortionists have been taken off the nipple. And the extortionist Iran was given their notice today, and Congress has 60 days, starting from today, to either fix the Comprehensive Joint Plan of Action or to let the sanctions snap back into place. I have a feeling it won't be the first one.